Your president is watching. America is watching. But more important, Godfather is watching. Make no mistake, there will be no fuck-ups. Marines around this world would give their left nuts to be where you are. Anybody not want to go? Marines, kill on 3. 1, 2, 3. Kill!
Born to those who pledged their lives in sacred honor, was smiled upon by God and freed from chains and iron collar. He is held aloft on unity and by history revered. For preserving peace through strength, his wings now reach across 200 years. But for each of those in 1 year more, God has smiled upon the core, from the Barbary coast to the eastern sand, by sword, by gun, or by bare hand. So it's been and shall be weighed. Though many are born, few are made. Faithful always they shall remain. Dogs to loose when war is waged.
I am a warrior, and this is my song. Good night, Chesty. Wherever you are.
Take me to the brig so I can see the real Marines. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Cold War Radio live from studio number 1 located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in my broadcast bunker. The Cold War Radio patron hotline, 412-206-6208. We'll be opening that up around 9 o'clock tonight. The voicemail to the program, 412-567-1460. Please go to SteelCityResistance.com, become a Cold War Radio patron in the right-hand column. You can also catch the research room there that's just loaded, full of information at a moment's notice for those impromptu debates and arguments you get in with the left. The video page is also there, so you can see the video versions of the audio clips we play on the show. If you'd like to write to the program, please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433-370, Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. That's called the official Cold War Radio Pimp Cane intro slider. Let's swing it over to the east and welcome Ward Miller to the program, founding member of the program. Good evening, Ward.
Hey, Hutch, how you doing? How's everybody out there tonight? In my bacon-loving deplorables, how you all doing?
There you go. We got a really good show tonight. I'm looking forward to this one. I really am.
Yeah, I'm fired up, man.
Let's get the inside baseball things. Let's say thank you and a shout out to Roger Derrick Fine Art. Thank you very much for your donation, sir. And let me just read the note that you sent with your donation. I don't normally do this, but I really like my co-hosts to hear these kind of things. Continued success to you and your team. I have faith that your listeners will continue to step up and move the needle on this initiative. Speaking about CPAC. We all need to help secure CWR's rightful presence at CPAC 20 with a genuine token of patronage. CWR will not only provide memorable coverage, but deliver commentary from a much-needed perspective. Let's step it up. Man, thank you so much, sir. I love hearing stuff like that, Ward. I mean,
I couldn't have written that better myself.
I know, right? Also, thank you. All right, let me find my spot.
That's really nice, man.
That was. Cool. I'm telling you.
That gives me the willies, man.
Thank you, Roger Derrick Fine Art, the best fine art that the world has. Also, thank you to
Absolutely.
Susan A. Thank you very much for your donation. And ladies and gentlemen, you can go to SteelCityResistance.com. In the right-hand column, there's a donate button, not to be confused with becoming a Cold War Radio patron. Two separate things. This is our initiative to get us to CPAC. Let's see where we stand. We almost have 2 out of 7. We've got $1,935. We need $5,065 more to reach our $7,000 target. We got about a month to do it, ladies and gentlemen, so there it is. There's that. I hope you can help out. We'll do what we can and adjust fire and whatnot, but if you can help us, give us a shot. If you've ever seen it, you can look at our past coverage of Cold War or of CPAC, but it's not going to be with Cold War Radio. It's going to be with the Wayne Dupree Show, and you can see what you're going to get. At least my part of it, and I'm sure I'm sure Ward and Stacy.
I am nowhere near an overweight black guy.
True.
I'm a great big overweight fat guy, white guy, but whatever.
So anyway, it'll be good. I went to the VA today, and I got to just now. I mean, should I even talk about that? I go to the VA ward, and there's something I found last year. I didn't know that they had a mess hall at the VA.
Yeah,
you know
they do.
I mean?
And it's good too. Man. They got great food.
Heck yeah! But normally my appointments are in the morning, so I get breakfast, and I love it. You know, at the 2 VAs I go to, they both have it, and it's like going to an Army mess hall, really, to me. And you know, I was really excited today because my appointment was at 12:30, so I figured I'm going to get lunch. And I went in there, and if you don't get in there by 10, breakfast is over, man. You know what I mean? You're just late.
Oh, yeah.
But, after 10, it takes them a little bit. So I came back, and I ordered a deluxe quarter-pound cheeseburger. I'm standing in line, and I keep waiting for this dude to slap something on the grill, on the flat top, right? But he doesn't. And all of a sudden, here comes my order. And now I'm leery, man. No, he pulled it out of one of those buckets of water, like, I've been in, and he put ketchup on the bottom bun. So there I am, the bun's falling apart in my hands, and there's no resistance from the burger. It was like, it was bad. It was bad, Ward. It was bad. It was. I'm never doing that again. Should have got one of the hot dogs.
Because I've gotten food there before. I mean, I got lunch there, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. That's why I'm kind of surprised.
Just the hamburgers. Everything else looked to be good, but those hamburgers, man. I mean, I was like really wanting the army cheeseburger, and it didn't work. But just wanted to throw that out there. It might be different in different regions, but I called it the VA cheeseburger disaster. So the FBI, let's get into what's going on today, and I'm not going to dive directly into the impeachment things like that, because that's what everybody else is doing. So you can hear that on any channel, but we will talk about it. Don't get me wrong.
We kind of have to. I mean,
exactly. But the FBI has got to be the most incompetent, slow reacting federal behemoth that there is. Listen to this headline. The FBI is reviewing ongoing allegations that freshman Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota stan, married her brother in an effort to help him obtain a green card and study in the United States, according to the New York Post. We've been reporting on this for 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
And the FBI is reviewing it.
Here's the thing. You could do this without a review, right? All you got to do is get a DNA sample from her and a DNA sample from him, put them together, and if they match, she committed a felony.
And numerous felonies. Because it was tied.
Yeah, it's not.
It was tied to college. It was tied to immigration, and the Federal Election Commission is looking at her. It's like our justice system is crippled. I don't know what it is. Now, if you're a Republican, it works.
Well, you got her, and then you got Tlaib, who's being nailed for campaign finance fraud. I mean, all of the members of the squad are in some sort of problem or another. AOC's, well, she may lose her seat because they're going to district her out. I think that's Nancy's idea, is to district her out because she's a pain in the ass.
Oh, Nancy's going to win in the end.
Nancy's going to get rid of her.
Oh, definitely. And however that happens. Yeah. But you're not going to see her around much longer.
No, she pissed her off and kind of slapped Nancy around and stuff in public. And, you really, I mean, somebody that's in Nancy's positions, but in Nancy's position because they know how to be in Nancy's position and they're going to screw her over. I mean, and I look to see it and I'll cheer and have little happy dance parties and whatnot. But the bottom line is it's happening because
look what she's done. Look what happened to San Francisco.
It's a complete mess.
And I mean, that's not the purview of a state or a congressional representative. I mean, their district bringing federal funds in is, but running the place municipally is not. But if you look,
you're right.
But if you look at the bottom line and you look at San Francisco and then you look at Nancy Pelosi's history, her whole family comes from Baltimore, Maryland. And they ran Baltimore, Maryland for decades. And look how Baltimore is. It's a pattern, man. It's not – the mafia doesn't care about the infrastructure.
No.
They just don't.
Well, they want the no-bid jobs.
Yeah.
And you're going to see – I will guarantee, because I've been following something that's going to be coming out that – during the rebuilding of Iraq, Biden's brother, Biden's brother made a crap ton of money by being in the construction business. And I don't think he ever worked construction a day in his life.
No, the company popped up and then the contract started coming, and we haven't even seen all the countries yet. This is just the tip of the iceberg, man. I'm telling you, it's. I don't know if our Justice Department can handle it. I really don't. I'm losing faith in them.
Well, when you get between Biden's and Burisma / Ukraine, then you go Biden and China.
And don't forget, Romney has 5 sons.
Oh yeah.
In
fact, did you notice that today they brought up Kerry's kid? Oh no, you didn't watch it. Yeah, when they were doing their debunking today, and it was all this right now. It's all Trump's guys. So today was the debunking day, and one of the things that they brought up. I mean, of course, they brought up Burisma because Schiff did. And so it's like, okay, if you want to bring this up, we'll talk about it.
Right.
So then they brought up, they have emails from, how'd it go? It was emails from Kerry's son to the State Department questioning whether or not it was okay for Biden and what the hell is the other guy's name? The other kid's name, I don't remember who it was.
One of them was Whitey Bulger's nephew.
That might have been it. That might have been him. But he was basically questioning, hey, is this okay if we do this? So we already knew that Kerry's kid was involved, and Romney's kid, and Pelosi's kid.
Yes,
so there's 3 of them that are, and they're all involved in Burisma and
all in energy
Ukraine.
companies. All in energy companies. You know what I mean? It's unreal. As they sit here and try to shut the energy industry down, they're so phony. They really are. Yeah, and there's another interesting development that's occurring, and it's not an immediate development. It's been going on for a few years, at least since Hillary Clinton's campaign, with the total dropping of any pretense of trying to get white working American voters. But Buttigieg, via Chris Wallace, took it to another level. I want you to listen to this. And I don't know what the mindset is here. There's not enough of them to do this. I'm gathering they probably think that they had it so in the bag with the corruption that the numbers didn't really matter. They were going to be the ones counting the votes with Soros and all his secretaries of state and all of his state attorneys general. But let's listen to Patricia Buttigieg here.
We have a question now from Kristen Day about abortion. Kristen.
Well, I am a proud pro-life Democrat. So do you want the support of pro-life Democrats, pro-life Democratic voters? There are about 21 million of us. And if so, would you support more moderate platform language in the Democratic Party to ensure that the party of diversity and inclusion really does include everybody?
Well, I respect where you're coming from, and I hope to earn your vote, but I'm not going to try to earn your vote by tricking you. I am pro-choice, and I believe that a woman ought to be able to make that decision. Here's what But I know that the difference of opinion that you and I have is one that we have come by honestly. And the best that I can offer, and it may win your vote, and if not, I understand. The best I can offer is that if we can't agree on where to draw the line, the next best thing we can do is agree on who should draw the line. And in my view, it's the woman who's faced with that decision in her own life.
Chris Wallace to the rescue.
This is an interesting moment because President Trump spoke at the March to Life movement. He was the first president ever to actually appear at the March to Life movement. And I'm curious, Kristen, were you satisfied with the answer you got from the mayor?
No, I was not, because he did not answer the second part of my question. And the second part was the Democratic platform contains language that basically says that we don't belong, we have no part in the party, because it says abortion should be legal up to 9 months, the government should pay for it. And there's nothing that says that people have a diversity of views on this issue should be included in the party. In 1996 and several years after that, there was a language in the Democratic platform that said that we understand that people have very differing views on this issue, but we are a big tent party that includes everybody. And so therefore, we welcome you, people like me, into the party so we can work on issues that we agree on. Yeah. So my question was, would you be open to language like that in the Democratic platform that really did say that our party is diverse and inclusive and we want everybody?
Well, I support the position of my party that this kind of medical care needs to be available to everyone. And I support the Roe versus Wade framework that holds that early in pregnancy there are very few restrictions and late in pregnancy there are very few exceptions. And again, the best I can offer is that we may disagree on that very important issue, and hopefully we will be able to partner on other issues.
All right, so there you go, Ward. I mean, I don't know what kind of a winner that is.
Well, I mean, it's a slow news day to start with, and it's like, okay, we're going to hit the gay guy with the abortion question, but I mean, like he has any idea. But my problem with that is, how can you? All these people that Nancy's a great, person to point this out on, because Nancy likes to espouse the fact that she's a Catholic and her Catholic religion doesn't allow her to hate. She said that when somebody said that she hated the president. My Catholic religion doesn't allow me to hate. But my question is, does your Catholic religion allow you to murder a baby up to 5 minutes before it's born? So if it doesn't make its way through the birth canal, you can kill it up to that point. Because when I was in Catholic school, they didn't teach us that. They taught us that killing the baby in the first place was bad, much less, when it was fully formed and it felt pain. That's the point that they don't bring up. It's they convince you it's a clump of cells and, it doesn't do anything and et cetera, et cetera. Bottom line is up right at 3 months in the first trimester, they can actually feel pain. And the way that they do this is just completely barbaric.
Here's the thing with Buttigieg, especially with that name, man. I mean, he should have changed his name.
I know.
And I can't help it.
Call himself Pete Fingerguns or something.
I see this guy talking, and all I get is some really horrible visuals, man. Yeah, I mean, that's what I get.
That's what I'm going to call him from now on.
I hear Andrew Dice Clay when I see Buttigieg, man. It's like America's not ready for you, man. Maybe some of the kids are, but I mean, no, man, no. I have to restrain myself because I'm a better man than I used to be.
Well, I'm not, but the thing is, he needs to go back to South Bend and maybe
see. Even that doesn't sound right. Even that doesn't sound right. He needs to go back to South Bend. Yeah, I mean.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can go all day with him. But my point is, maybe he should, step back from the campaign. And my question is, when is Biden going to do that? All of his
his priorities. He has his priorities. He's got his priorities, Ward. He is all about making sure there is no discrimination against trans women. That's that's the national security. I mean, that's it right there.
I got an issue with that, and I'm going to bring that up now. Thanks, since you broached it.
Okay.
Here's my problem. Whether or not there's two sexes. There's men and there's women. Period. Science tells us that. Biology tells us that. Now, the fact that your name is Joe, you want to be Josephine, if you still got a pair of swingling danglers down there, you're still a dude.
And even if you get to chop a dick off of me, you're still going to be hairy and nasty and stinky, and you know what I mean?
You're still going to be a dude.
You're going to be ugly. You're not going to look good.
Well, my point is they're doing this. Now, nobody thought about this, and here's where I come in. I think about this kind of crap. They're using this to control your thought, your speech, and your thought, because it's bad if you assume that a guy dressed like a guy that has an Adam's apple is a guy, and you say, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And
he says, "Hey, I'm the all-time champion of female bodybuilding. What do you mean?" You know, I'm the fastest broad out here.
Exactly. And it's like, dude, I don't care if you want to consider yourself a unicorn. You can't make me call you that, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to control your speech.
And it's working. Right. It's working because
they're shaming you into it and they're firing people for it.
But let's take that and let's extrapolate it out to what we're going through right now. Right before the show, we always have a little brief meeting before the show. We were talking, you and I, and, you know, we're at a point right now where they have disrupted the norm so badly that we are literally having a serious national conversation about the Russian communists wanting to pal up with the Republican Party against the Communist Democrat Party. And we're having a discussion that the president said, well, I really don't want to give them money if they're all corrupt. Think about that. These are two norms that have been with us for 50 years. And the one about the quid pro quo has been around much longer than that.
And the thing is, foreign policy is dictated by the commander-in-chief. The president of the United States dictates foreign policy. He could say, you know what, we're going to sit on it for 6 years. And we're going to sit on it for 6 years because he's the president.
And another term I learned in school was that, yes, he is the commander-in-chief, but he is also the country's chief diplomat, the country's chief law enforcement officer, and on and on. He's the boss. How dare he fire an ambassador that doesn't see eye to eye with their boss? You know,
and that was the conversation we had, because it's apparently people don't understand what it means to you work for at the pleasure of the president, because I guess it was Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, it had to be this weekend. Or maybe it was Friday. They lost their mind because they had this breaking news story about this bombshell videotape that they got where President Trump demanded that this ambassador was fired. Okay. That's his right.
Exactly.
That person works for him. So when he goes out and says, you know what, I want that person fired, get him out, you don't have a job. You're unemployed now.
And I mean, take it to the point where
their feelings come into play. It's my rights don't end, or my rights don't begin where your feelings end. And that's what the whole thing's about. It's, oh, my feelings got hurt because you called me a he, and I think I'm a mountain lion. No, you're not a mountain lion. You're a retard.
Yeah.
It's called transitional dystopia. And
you're bringing those big words on me now.
Well, no, I mean, that's the name of the disease. It is a legitimate disease. Up until the point when Obama became president, it was classified as a disease. 90% of the people that have this end up killing themselves because they hate themselves to start with. And they convince themselves it's not, I don't hate myself. I hate the fact that I'm a man. I'm supposed to be a woman. They go and they get the surgery. They get the stuff clipped or cut. Then the next thing you know, here we go.
Yep, you're right.
You know,
ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Schlichter was personally recruited to write conservative commentary by Andrew Breitbart. He is a named partner at a growing Los Angeles law firm, a retired Army infantry colonel with a master's in strategic studies from the United States Army War College, and something I didn't know, a former stand-up comic. He's a frequent guest on Fox News, Fox Business News, appears on air with such luminaries as Hugh Hewitt, Larry O'Connor, Tony Katz, Derek Hunter, Howie Carr, John Cardillo, and Chris Steigel, among others. His most recent nonfiction book is Militant Normals, How Regular Americans Are Rebelling Against the Elite to Reclaim Our Democracy. His latest novel is Wildfire. He is also the author of People's Republic and Indian Country. Welcome to Cold War Radio, Colonel Kurt Schlichter. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you. You're one book back. The latest is Collapse, and it's freaking amazing.
Outstanding.
Everyone should go buy it.
Definitely.
We advocate that.
And I have my co-host, Kurt. His name is Ward Miller. He's also in the city of Pittsburgh. We brought you on here I'd like to have you on anyway, just on GP. I don't need a special subject matter, but we have the ongoing situation in Virginia, and I think that's just a tinderbox, a starting point. But you have a lot of people, calling some wolf tickets out there, running, going to the Second Amendment rally, open carrying rifles and things like that, and a lot of people think the answer is just, buy as much ammunition as you can, which I advocate. Don't get me wrong, but you had some very, very solid advice for people that are at ground zero on this event. You wrote for Town Hall, Peaceful Insurgency Tips for Virginian Patriots. I thought it was a very insightful piece, and I'd like you to just expand on it a little bit, if you would, sir.
Well, look, the point of being for the Second Amendment, besides wanting to be able to protect your family from criminals, is wanting to protect your community and Constitution from tyrants. That has happened, for all practical purposes, 0 times in 250 years. Now, that doesn't mean it's unnecessary. I think it's absolutely necessary. It shows the power of deterrence. But the point is, a lot of people, when our rights are under attack, a lot of people think, okay, let's skip all the steps from here to 1776. The fact is, our Constitution is strong and vital. Here's why we lost Virginia. Because guys like us didn't go out and vote. Now, it's hard to say. I live in California. I know how this goes. You have a weak Republican Party. You have Democrats who, frankly, don't do that until now. Haven't done that much different. You really couldn't tell the difference. It wasn't that important to your life. And you stayed home. And then you realize today's Democrats are not yesterday's Democrats. The Democrats who got elected in Virginia have nothing to do with the Democrats that got elected 20 years ago. You could have a Democrat governor in Virginia 20 years ago, and while you might not like what he does, it's probably not going to mess with you. Now you got people who want to turn you into a felon. They want to let criminals out of jail. They want to let people, end zoning so anybody can build anything in your neighborhood. And, God knows what they want to teach your kids in the schools. Forget your kids not having weirdos in your bathrooms.
Again, on top of that, they have the thing where they dress up as the trans come in and it's trans story time and stupid crap like that.
Look, it's a different kind of Democrat. Before, look, I never liked the Democrats, but the Democrats didn't really go out of their way to screw with me. The new kind of Democrat does.
Communists.
He doesn't want to just raise your taxes, which is bad. He wants to mess with you. So people didn't realize, they thought, just another Democrat, boom. And now they got this, suddenly they're like, oh, crap, look at what's happening. What's the answer? Well, the answer is very simple. It's the first thing that we do in America when we're faced with politicians that we dislike. We organize and go and vote them out of office. And that's got to be the first step here.
And, I think this... We have several people that listen to the program that are really involved in this, and they've called the show.
And they're great. I'm super proud of them.
The county meetings that they have, and they had every single county had one before this Second Amendment rally, and I mean the venues couldn't handle it. I mean there was people, there were so many people that there was people outside, and I think that's to your
California. Don't let what happened to us. Remember, we used to be a red state. Ronald Reagan came from California.
Right.
Don't let it happen to you. And if you're woke, if you're awake, you Texas is figuring out, oh, Californians are moving in. We better beef ourselves up. Virginia is now realizing, unfortunately, you're not so far down the road that it's not going to be, it's not that hard to go and undo it.
And you made the point.
The first step is to do it.
And you made the point, and you made it clear that you were not saying that Virginia's governor was Hitler, but you did make the point that Hitler got into power following an election.
Just saying. And also, Hitler would have approved of his fashion sense.
He did say that. True. I mean, so I guess the question.
They're governors.
Patent leather and whatnot. Well,
I mean, look, just think. You guys have been to a few rallies. You know what conservative Americans. If some halfwit showed up in blackface,
Oh, right.
it would not go well for him.
No.
Well,
No.
I think
But the Democrats elected the guy, and they're happy with him. So I'm just.
Well, I think part of that too is the amount of money that Bloomberg threw behind a lot of these elections, because that's exactly what he wanted, was the gun control and whatnot. And he's doing the same thing in Pennsylvania. He's tried it here. Our mayor's doing the same crap. Well, trying, and he's getting shot down. But it wouldn't take. But a few rogues or a bad election, and bad stuff can happen, man.
Well, that's true, but remember, if you look at Virginia, all these guys just a lot of them made it in by the skin of their teeth. A few thousand, a few hundred votes.
Yeah.
If you guys see what's coming, and look, it's your responsibility to do it. As the people of Pennsylvania, you need to wake your fellow citizens up. That's how elections work. And
that's how this show started.
Yeah, exactly. And boy, tell me, I live near Orange County. It used to be all red. Now it's all blue. Can we take it back? Well, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, but let's go down your list, though. It's very telling. Let's not fall for this. The first step. What's the first step we have to do? We got to resolve these garbage people. Whether they're
from office.
Whether they're liberal politicians, the media, Twitter blue checks, Fredo-con sissies.
Don't forget Republicans in name only.
Oh,
Mitt
my
Romney's.
goodness.
Yeah.
Which I hope we have enough time to talk about that, too. But you basically said that these people that are promoting this and standing by this nationwide, not just in Virginia, would be all in for the redcoats back in the 1700s.
Well, of course they would. Look, they want control. This is a new kind of Democrat. At least if the Democrats wanted, we want to take your money and pass it around our folks.
Graft.
Look, I can deal with a crook.
Right.
What I don't want is a committed activist. A crook's going to leave me alone,
Yeah.
Generally. I mean, I'll pay more in taxes. But an activist, he wants to come in my house and tell me stuff. I'm not down for that.
Well, you're already seeing it in Virginia. They're already swinging from the Second Amendment to the First, to where if you badmouth a politician, it's supposedly going to be a crime. Colonel, would you mind if we took a couple calls?
Sure.
Ken from King George. Kurt Schlichter, your question.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? I'm down here in Virginia, and I just went to the gun show in Fredericksburg, and you just swore it was a Trump rally. I swear to God, I had to wait in line for 15 minutes to get a ticket to get into a gun show.
See, we have the power, man. This is our country. We feed it, we fuel it, we defend it. It's ours. We're not giving it up. All we got to do, it's so simple. All we got to do is what citizens need to do. We have it so much easier than the guys in 1776. We don't have to shoot anybody or fight. We just go march down to the voting box.
You have to show up to vote.
Damn right.
Show up to vote.
All you got to do. It's easy. So I don't want to hear any bitching or moaning about how hard it is. Yeah, it's a pain in the rear. But we all put ourselves in this situation. Again, I'm from California, so I'm a kid. But there's a solution, and there's a lot more of us than those gender neutral barista weirdo
boy boys,
pot smoking losers,
avocado toast
crew, and it's just like red meat eating. And
we prefer bacon deplorables.
Look, everybody's going to tell you you got no right to govern yourself. You're not smart enough. You're immoral. You're too stupid. You like Jesus too much. You and your guns. The hell with them.
Right.
This is our country.
Amen.
This is ours. And yeah, we'll share it with anybody else who's a citizen. But it's mine. And
There
I'm
you
going
go.
to fully experience my citizenship. I'm going to have my vote counted. I'm going to have my voice heard. And no one's going to shut me up.
And now Ken is he walks the walk. He's a precinct captain, or what's your
Nice.
title, Ken?
No, I'm not a precinct. I work security as one of the election officials, and
Good enough.
during this last local election, we had quite a turnout here in King George County because there was a runoff for so the sheriff that had been the sheriff for the last 30 years finally retired, and there was a guy that was looking to come in and basically tip over the apple cart, and there was a lot of people's jobs at stake, and I witnessed a lot of stuff that happened with this particular candidate that I'm glad I voted the way I did, because everybody's like, it's a good old boy thing, and this so that the gentleman that was appointed sheriff, Chris Giles, by the retiring sheriff, he was running, and his opponent, oh my God, his opponent was just terrible.
Local issues are super important.
All right, wrap it up, Ken.
So anyways, like I said, the gun show, when I first got there, when it didn't buy anything, although I probably should have bought a couple 30-round magazines, but because they had a pretty good price on them. But when I left, the line was even longer to get into the place from when I got there.
That's good.
It was just insane. I mean,
I love hearing it. You think Trump's going to take
and people
Virginia?
were buying stuff.
Think Trump's going to take Virginia?
I hope he comes back to Virginia because I want to bring my coworker and his son. His son just graduated from high school last year. He works dispatch because he wants to get into law enforcement, and they said the best way to do that is get into dispatch. So he loves working night shift for some reason. He doesn't really care for doing the day. I guess there's more action at night, but he cannot. He is enthusiastic about voting for Trump in 2020.
Good deal.
Well, I hope Virginia can come back, and purple state can turn red. If enough people go out and vote for Trump, that's going to send a message to these guys. And I think it's important that people revitalize the party there, and that they participate, and they don't let this fade away. They don't forget.
Well, there were, I believe, some of the stuff I've read so far, there were like close to 20 seats that ran uncontested.
Yeah, that's here. Same way here.
Yeah.
Ken, got to go. Thanks for calling, man. Appreciate it.
But there are people that, when I was at the gun show, there were representatives looking to run on the Republican ticket that were trying to get on the ballot to run against Mark Warner. So,
all right.
And there's like 4 or 5 of them.
All right, good deal. Thanks for calling, Ken. Appreciate it. All right, so let's go to the second step, Colonel, of making this, turning this around. You got to turn your anger into votes. And I think that's so important. Is we gotta all right, stop bitching and make sure that you and all your neighbors get out there too.
Look, and that means forcing the Republican Party of Virginia to get squared away. And
Absolutely.
I know what it's like to have a lousy Republican Party. Let me give you an example. Down here in L.A., all the congressional seats are blue, and they divide up by district. And I met this guy from the Republican Party. He's like, yeah, I'm very proud of myself. I've been the Republican chairman in this district for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you've never won. And you think that's good? You think if you were one of the lawyers working for me and you'd gone 20 years never winning a case, that you would continue to work for me
for 20 years?
Yeah, that's think about 20 minutes. The simple fact is, a lot of parties become good old boy networks, and then they become more about whose turn it is to be in charge rather than getting in there and winning. And you guys are going to have to go in and look. I don't want to spend time doing politics, but if I got to go be a precinct captain, if that's what it takes. That's what you got to do.
Right.
Doesn't take any special skills. Let me tell you, these people are not geniuses. You may go, well, I can't do this. Of course you can.
Let's go to
balance a checkbook. Can you
Right.
support your family? You can be a party activist.
Absolutely. Let's go to ground zero of the opposition to the Second Amendment. Let's welcome Regina from Richmond, Virginia. Hello, Regina. Your question for Mr. Schlichter.
My question is pretty much what do you do when you are surrounded by a giant college and a hospital that's pretty much taking over your city?
Well, I happen to be pretty familiar with Richmond, and you do what you got to do. You go and talk to people. You get out there and you go to the colleges and you talk to the college kids. You're not going to win all of them. You're going to win some of them. Look, there are some areas where our message just isn't going to be as welcome as others. That's okay. There'll be people there who welcome it. And every vote counts. You take 10 votes out of Richmond, that's 10 less votes we need to make up somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good advice. Thank you, Regina.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So let's go to step 3, Colonel. When they pass the laws, fight them in court. And I think that's probably one of the most critical right now.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we still have courts that work. Now, look, I've argued in front of the Ninth Circuit, so nobody has to tell me about problematic liberal courts because I've been there. But look, the courts are there, and I'm eager for the Supreme Court to weigh in on our Second Amendment rights because it hasn't in a while.
It's time,
and it needs to. And frankly, I think it's without wishing ill upon anybody, I think it is likely that within the next year or two, we're going to see a vacancy on the Supreme Court. And that could be one that really shifts the balance over. Because frankly, I don't trust John Roberts as far as I can throw him.
He's done so. He's done all right during the impeachment trial, but other than that,
he may or may not turn out okay. But I think like many establishment Republicans, he cares about what the people at the club think.
Yeah.
And we've got way too many people who are like Mitt Romney, always trying to please the right people. Man. Well, I please God if I can, and I'm done. There is no one that I see. Please. Maybe my wife.
Right.
But no, I'm an American citizen, and I'll say whatever I damn well please all the time. And if you don't like it, you have a right to get up and say what you damn well think and not care what I think.
Well, I knew this was going to go quickly, but I want to get the last, or rather step 4, is one that's a little touchy. And I got to tell you, this interview, my interest was predicated on a year or so ago. I had a guy on named Wild Bill for America. You probably heard of him. He does YouTube videos and things like that. Former law enforcement guy, and it was when everybody was getting real pounding their chests about, getting more ammunition and this, that, and the other, and AKs or whatever. And he said, "Look, man, that's not the answer." He said, "You're not going to shoot your way out of this. This is a cultural and a situation that we have to deal with. That we're not anywhere near the point."
Oh, not even close.
And I agree.
We have a Constitution that still works.
Right. And
the reason you buy guns and ammunition is for when things go to hell, like the LA riots, which I was for 3 weeks with the Army.
Absolutely.
That's Hurricane Katrina. That's when it matters. But it does matter.
It does.
And that's
it
why
does.
we have to protect it.
But your step
So,
4.
we're not even. We're so far from any of that, and immature people who want to fantasize about that stuff and think it's really cool. That's silly. And my books talk
right.
about some of that, and the consequences are always horrible.
Absolutely. And you also did. I'm pretty sure it was you, several years ago. Basically laid out what would happen if we had a civil war. I really liked that too. I mean, I didn't like. I don't want to do it.
Look, I was in.
Me too. 35 years. 35 years.
War.
I hear you. Kosovo.
I think we have great ways of resolving differences called elections and courts. Why don't we use those?
Right. But let me get to what I wanted to warn the audience about, because step 4 is resist unconstitutional laws, and there's no moral obligation to respect them, which is absolutely true, 100% true. But don't go off half-cocked.
No. You remember in the Jim Crow era, black Americans would go and sit down at a lunch counter and expect to be served and treated with respect, and they get dragged away and arrested. That was civil disobedience. That was a way of drawing a reaction from an unjust authority that demonstrates the injustice. Here, the problem with civil disobedience is you're breaking a law, and there are consequences to that. And I mean, if somebody I'm standing here with a 30-round magazine. I dare you to arrest me. Well, you get arrested.
Yeah, exactly.
And okay, you're going to get arrested, and that's part of what civil disobedience. So I don't want to hear any whining about it, but it does illustrate. Makes people think: do I really want my neighbor arrested for this? And then that makes people think. This is nonviolent stuff. This is government officials essentially saying, I refuse to prosecute people in my community for this. I won't do it. I will not arrest them. I will not charge them. I will not be complicit in this. That is jurors nullifying, essentially saying, I refuse to convict this person. These are classic methods of dealing with unjust laws. And I don't think, and I want to hear the liberals talk about it. We hear about this sanctuary city where we're supposed to ignore laws passed by our representatives against people who shouldn't be here that do not violate the Constitution, which is something very different than people violating the Constitution of constitutional rights of American citizens.
It's kind of funny you brought that up, because just today, Bill de Blasio is being sued for $1 billion by the family of the woman who was raped and murdered by the illegal alien that was released.
Oh, it's about time.
And so he's getting sued for $1 billion.
I think there's definitely some legal challenges to get through, but I think when you have a law
federal,
lawfully passed and not unconstitutional that a government agency refuses to enforce, I think there's got to be some relief in the courts for people who suffer as a result of that. Now, there may not be. That may very well get 12b6'd out.
I hope
federal
not.
Motion to dismiss.
I hope not.
But again, what's the first step? First step is people of New York deciding who they want running their city. And unfortunately, in some cases, people want bums running their city and overrunning their city as a result. Look at Los Angeles. But the first step is always the voters. The second step, courts. And the third step, sometimes in certain cases, look, I have no pity for anybody who does civil disobedience over honoring stop signs. I would think that was stupid.
Right.
Someone who, says, I'm going to stand here in the middle of the square with this 30-round magazine, as a veteran of the military and a law-abiding citizen, and dare you to arrest me to show the injustice of this. Okay. All right. Well, maybe that's, you're probably going to get fined.
That doesn't bother you?
Okay.
I'm a gun-toting, all of that. To me, when I see somebody doing that, and this is just my opinion. I mean, because I wouldn't do it. The only way that I would carry a long gun is if I was guarding something, or if I was ready to, if there was a reason. But to just go out there with a weapon like that, to me, I always taught
You're just inviting trouble.
Well,
I always taught my kids.
If you're going to do something that's civilly disobedient, I think you owe it to our law enforcement guys to do it in a safe way that doesn't get anybody hurt.
Some of these guys go out there and they curse the cops out.
Make your point. Yep. Don't hurt anybody, and don't cause anyone. Don't cause unnecessary hassle.
And just to pull out another paragraph of your outstanding article, the colonel writes, "Notice what is not a step: violence." Yes.
Yeah, there's no justification for. Look, I'm an infantry officer. I
Roger.
believe in violence, vigorously applied to the right people at the right time under the right circumstances.
Absolutely.
I was in the military 27 years, never killed anybody.
I'm the same way.
I'm glad. I don't want to. I have no desire to hurt anybody. I will if I have to, but I don't have to. We are so far from anything like requiring violence. Violence crosses a line that is, I understand people's emotions are high. That's why you've got to be even more responsible, because people's emotions are high. That's why you've got to be more mature. That's why you've got to be the kind of citizen who goes to a rally in Richmond and then leaves the place cleaner than it was when you got there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's us.
That's
who we are. We're not Antifa. We're not bums. We're not thugs. We're not rioters. We're American citizens. This is our country. We want to take care of it. And all we want and demand are the rights that God guaranteed every human being. It's not much to ask. In fact, we're not asking.
I know I said 20 minutes. I apologize for keeping you over, Colonel. I have one more question, if you don't mind, and this is not part of the discussion. It's something off to the side a little bit. But I considered myself, up until probably 3 years ago, 3 or 4, maybe even 5, I probably could have been put in the camp of neocon. Okay, I was a Cold Warrior.
Huh?
I was, and that's why I'm asking you this, because I think we're thinking along the same lines, that we had kind of an epiphany at some point. But when you can't tell me what winning looks like in Afghanistan, to me, it's time to come home. And in that, good.
I spent, the infantry school, command and general staff, the Army War College, having objective beaten into me.
Right.
What's the objective? What's the objective? And if I asked these generals, I would get a tap dance.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of no, that's not an objective. An objective has to be, an objective is something a 19-year-old infantryman can execute. If a 19-year-old infantryman can't execute an objective, I want you to go and destroy the Nazi army and destroy the Third Reich. Got it, sir. Give me my Garand. Let's go. If you can't do that, you don't have an objective. What you're doing is you're trying to get over on me. I'm a lawyer. I'm an expert on it. You're trying to get over on me.
The enemy,
don't know, then you shouldn't be doing it.
The enemy is a verb.
The enemy is a verb.
The war on terror. I mean, I guess you could call it a verb. It's an action word.
Hey, we've got the combat power to kill every living thing in Afghanistan. Do you want to do that? Do I want to do that? Do I want to have the moral cost, much less the treasure and the blood of Americans, to do it? I don't think I'm willing to do that. Well, if I can't do that, I can't get an end state that I could see is something worth fighting for. So I'm not going to do it. Don't do stupid things.
Okay, that was the preface. Now I want to ask you about something that's happening right now, and then I'm going to stop. But John Bolton, in my radio career, which has been after my Army career, I would have to say that John Bolton was probably my favorite interview that I was most proud of, besides maybe David Horowitz. And what do you think about what's going on right now
I've always been a fan. I've always been a fan of Bolton. I'm a little biased because his book agent's also my book agent.
Okay, okay.
He is. All we know is hearsay based on hearsay about what Bolton allegedly said in his book. Has Bolton sold out the president somehow? I'll wait to see if he sold out the president somehow. I don't know. I
hope not.
Wouldn't have minded if he waited a little while to write the book, but Bolton has been solid. Although I've grown to disagree with some of his stuff for a long time. I know the new National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien, who I think is tremendous.
Okay.
And has done a lot to reorganize that broken institution, the National Security Council. He from 400 to 100 people.
And it needs to be down to 10.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
But both Vindmans.
You're an Army guy. Which would run better, a division staff with 400 officers or a division staff with 100?
100 all day long.
Well, make it about 25, and you'd probably be on, and then fill up the rest.
Right? No, you're right.
NCOs and warrants.
And I was in one of those commands. I know. The more people, you want to know something.
Look, we know how stuff works.
I got to tell you,
that's the problem with the media. They don't.
Now, I worked for colonels and generals, right? Once I became a warrant officer, a senior warrant officer. But I think about the Vindman, Lieutenant Colonel Vindmans. There's two of them,
Oh, my.
And I think the most worthless people in my command were the lieutenant colonels. I didn't even talk to them. It was like
I love
they
being a lieutenant colonel.
As a battalion commander, as a battalion
and
commander.
I got to be with my guys.
Right.
And I could still walk in a room without everyone freaking out. And
But not at a command.
People would actually talk to me. I liked it.
Not at a command, though. When you're a battalion commander, that's a different thing. I respected the hell out of them.
When you're a staff light colonel, man.
Oh, my God.
The only thing worse is a major.
Yeah.
What I thought was funny about that, though, was when Vindman corrected the congressman and said, that's lieutenant colonel. I've known colonels, lieutenant colonels when I was in the Air Force. Okay, so give me some crap now. I'm waiting for it. Anyway, but none of them ever looked at me and said, "You call me lieutenant colonel." It was colonel.
Oh God!
You know what I mean? Nobody ever made that distinction.
It's just mortifying. My goal was always to walk in a room and be, I'm wearing whatever rank I'm wearing, but I know my guys are going to judge me as who I am.
Yep.
And look, your rank will carry you pretty far. You can get a lot done just being an 06, but you can't be a great officer if it's only because you're an 06.
Right. That's a fact, man. That's a fact.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, and I tried to do, and frankly, my guys seem to like me.
Right. I can see
I
why.
got a big saber hanging over my mantle.
There you go. Colonel Schlichter, Kurt Schlichter, any additional books or websites or anything that you'd like to put out there, or any other final comments? Everybody
should check out my town hall columns every Monday and Thursday, and then I have the special VIP columns on Wednesday. This week, today I wrote the one that ran today in town hall.
Will Democrats take up arms to remove dictator Trump? Or are they all talk?
Right? You're going to take up arms, right?
Right. No, I agree.
And I'm writing about coronavirus on Thursday. I think that'll be an interesting one. And go out and get my book Collapsed. I think you guys will like it.
I got a question before you go. Then,
sure.
If no, I'm not going to do it. Never mind.
Go ahead. Come on.
Nah,
my interest is peaked.
Well, it was more or less along the lines of I lost my.
Do it now! Come on, Ward, you're committed now.
But I totally forgot. He blew my train of thought, dude. I'm out.
Hey, man.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
That's how I do it.
Hey,
you crush me.
First of all, let me.
Broken your spirit.
Yes, it's the infantry thing. It's the infantry.
You broke your co-host, Hutch.
Oh man. Anyway, Colonel Schlichter, I want to thank you so much, and I also want to congratulate you. You were on the show several years ago, and watching you just do what you do is really exhilarating to me. I appreciate you coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen,
Anytime you guys want me.
if you don't follow Kurt Schlichter on Twitter, you're doing yourself a disservice. I told you at the top of the interview that Andrew Breitbart recruited him. And if you remember, Andrew Breitbart's right around the time when we started getting political on this show. And he used to retweet every negative tweet that was said to him. And that was his forte. And that's what got him noticed. But when Kurt Schlichter does it, he does it a little bit better. Because when you tweet to Kurt Schlichter that you're just a wimpy little party boy, he'll come back and tell you that's not what your mother said.
Well,
you know. Thanks for coming on, Colonel. I appreciate it.
I'm just an innocent trial lawyer. But remember, my family's from Denora. So
okay,
guys,
there you go. That's one of us. All right.
Yep.
Kurt Schlichter, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, sir.
Adios.
Take it
Thanks
easy,
a lot.
Looking for an alternative place to find news and opinion? How about conversing with fellow patriots? Join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for Cold War Radio. You will find it at www.spreaker.com or in the Spreaker app. Search for Cold War Radio and you will find it. Since I've been listening, I have met some terrific patriots and learned quite a lot about current events that the mainstream media will never tell you. Please come and join us. Be inspired. You will feel right at home in our Spreaker chat room.
All right, another outstanding Cold War Radio interview. Thanks to Ken and Regina for calling in. Man, boy, we took him long, Ward. I'm glad that wasn't one of Mona's customers, man. We'd been in trouble.
We would have.
He was a good sport.
Like almost an hour ago, half hour ago.
Oh, I know. I'm like, Ken, come on, man. Wrap it up, Ken. Come on. I'm watching the clock. It's like tick, 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 tick. I'm going, oh, man. We got like 3 minutes left, and I got 8 minutes. Anyway, good interview, man. Good interview.
Great interview.
412-206-6208. If you'd like to chime in, now's the time to do it. Wow, yeah, that guy is something else. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you're wrong. That's all I can tell you. I mean, he's got some great responses to idiots out there. Boy, we got a lot of stuff yet. I'm trying to see where we are.
We just talked for 45 minutes for crying out loud.
I know, man. How about that? So the New York Times says draft Bolton book says that Trump wanted to withhold Ukrainian aid for investigations. The source says that Alexander Vindman's brother, Evgeny Vindman, clears publications by NSC officials. In other words, Bolton submitted his manuscript. Now, you know what? I'm saying Bolton submitted his. I don't know that. This is all hearsay.
Exactly.
This is all a bombshell.
And I think that's what our guest was just saying. It is complete hearsay because Bolton never said he's not the one who released it. This is something that the New York Times released. Hell, this could be just completely made up. There may not even be a book for crying out loud.
That's true. But right off the bat, what do we have? Susan Collins says reports on Bolton book leak strengthen case for witnesses. John Cornyn, a senator from Texas, says Bolton revelations nothing different than what we've already heard. And I think that's true.
Well, watching the reactions, and we were talking about this before the show, watching the reactions of the people coming out, on their dinner break. They were going to dinner break, and they had little gaggles going on.
And the House Republicans had a powerhouse. It was like it was Meadows and Jordan and Radcliffe, Stefanik, and all of them.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, and they said the same thing. Of course, every one of the every one of the reporters that are, at the gag org are going, hey, are we going to get witnesses? Are you going to have witnesses?
Because all they want to do is drag this out for 3 more weeks.
Absolutely. And so they get to bash Trump for 3 more weeks. But the bottom line is, and in fact, Jordan said it. He says, we could call Bolton. Why didn't Schiff call Bolton?
And McCarthy.
He had every opportunity to call him, and he didn't. In fact, he said we're going to subpoena him, and then he dropped it. So the fact that he didn't follow up on it is on him. And that was what was Jordan's thing was, he dropped the ball on it. Screw him.
The minority leader McCarthy came out and said there's no reason that this goes beyond Friday. It's a done deal. But then, after that, Mitt is just Mitt.
It's increasingly apparent that it would be important to hear from John Bolton. I, of course, will make a final decision on witnesses after we've heard from not only the prosecution but also the defense. But I think at this stage it's pretty fair to say that John Bolton has a relevant testimony. I think it's increasingly likely that other Republicans will join those of us who think we should hear from John Bolton.
I absolutely hate Mitt Romney. I mean, I'm sorry I have to say it that way. But I really do. I can't stand. Can you imagine, Ward, just the people that we are? Can you imagine being portrayed as Mitt is being portrayed? Wouldn't you change your behavior if you were being called such a coward as he's been called lately? I mean,
it's not a lately thing. He's always been a coward. It's nothing new. I mean, he's the first one that's going to stand up. He's going to be the new John McCain.
Yeah.
Because apparently the Republican Party needs a loser that's going to side against them every damn time that he gets a shot. And that's what Mittens does. So
they're getting fewer, though. They're getting fewer, if you notice. Remember, it used to be 10 of them.
Yeah. But here's what the Republicans need to do. Is say, okay, you want witnesses? We'll give you witnesses. And we're going to go 1 for 1. So you want 1 witness? All right. You get Bolton. We get Schiff.
Yeah.
You want 2 witnesses? We get Schiff and we get Biden. You can have Bolton and McCain, whoever, right? And then they're going to go, okay, we'll do that. And as soon as they do that, Trump goes, I'm going to execute executive privilege.
Yeah.
And they can't testify.
All right, so we got some callers on the line. We got Rico. Ralph was first, and then Rico. I'm going to play a clip and show you the total meltdown of Fox News, and then I want to get your opinions when we come back off the clip. Katie Pavlich, a journalistic hero, puts the diapers on Chris Wallace.
This happens, when it happens, who knows about the manuscript, and how it gets out there.
Well, the manuscript isn't just with the NSC. All of the intelligence agencies also have to review it, which can take a very long time. So there's no telling how long that review process could take. But I want to go back to the senators here that we've been talking about for days now, who the Democrat managers are trying to convince to vote for witnesses. Senators like Susan Collins, for example, are weighing 2 things: bringing witnesses more information that they don't have given the new news, but also maintaining the dignity and the integrity of the Senate and the role of the Senate. The Senate is not the House. The House did not come with a complete case, and every impeachment beforehand, the witnesses that were called had been called in the House before being brought to the Senate. So there are questions here about the process and the precedent.
They hadn't all been called in the House. And in the Clinton impeachment, they had been called by the general. The independent counsel. They had not been called
after an extensive Justice Department investigation, Chris. But that is very
just wrong, Katie.
That is very different than the witnesses who were called in the investigation before. Let me finish. Before the articles were sent to the House, the Justice Department investigation, the grand jury material in the Clinton impeachment were handed to the House as part of the articles and given to the Senate. They were not given after the House voted for those articles. That is the difference,
Senator
and the
Mitch
process
McConnell
here does matter.
in now to the Senate as the Senators senators make their way on the floor. Final thoughts here, Chris.
Well, I just want to pick up on this because, Katie, what you're saying just isn't true. The fact of the matter was, let me finish. You asked me to. The fact of the matter was that the whistleblower information was given to the Inspector General, who gave it to the Justice Department. The Justice Department decided not to investigate, and that is why it went to the House. So to say that in the Clinton investigation that these people were interviewed by the House, one, they weren't, and to say that it wasn't done by the Justice Department because the Justice Department refused to carry out the investigation. Get your facts straight.
Okay, let's talk about some of the facts here, Chris. The point is that all of the information that the grand jury in the Clinton investigation and all of the witnesses that the House wanted to call, that the Justice Department called in the Clinton case, were done before the articles were voted on and put over to the Senate. That is not what has happened here. The House voted on incomplete information and gave it to the Senate, and now they're saying the Senate should call additional witnesses who have not been called before and who were not part of the House evidence that Mitch McConnell put into the record.
Listen to what John Bolton
said.
I'm
No,
not taking a side,
you should just go work for MSNBC.
Should not testify. I am simply talking about what senators are saying and whether they should go with the process.
In the meantime, just moments ago, a statement from the attorney for the acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney.
Well, I guarantee you Brett Baier is pissed off. And who's it going to be? Is Chris Wallace going to go or Katie Pavlich? I'm going to say Chris Wallace. I think Chris Wallace is on his last leg, man. He's not nearly as good as his father, Mike. And
and he's getting more vocal about his assholiness.
Assholiness. Let's go to Ralph in Missouri. What's going on, brother?
It's all one big damn headache. Okay? The whistle blown out of the water when Trump released actual bona fide, verified
Come on, Ralph. You got to climb up on that tower again, man. I don't know what's going on in Missouri.
Hello.
All right, let's go to Rico. Rico, you're up. Ralph will get straight, and then we'll get back to Ralph, but let's go to Rico.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
So what do you think? What's going on? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I think this Chris Wallace dude needs to, I guess, suck my... And that's all I have to say about that one.
Why you got to get all Buttigieg on the show?
I don't know because I usually see it when I come in, that little E, and I'm kind of compelled to do so.
Right.
But anyways, everything that I've seen the Democrats do seem to be unconstitutional, illegal, and just unprecedentedly stupid.
Especially and it's everything they do. The whole idea, and I don't know if you've really checked out Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, that these Democrats are following. But the projection, to me, the projection is stupid because think about all the things they've accused the president of doing. They've done them all.
Well, that's what Goebbels said. That's when one of his famous quotes was accuse the other side of which you are guilty. I mean, and that's exactly the Democrats do that every time. I mean, they vilified Trump because of Ukraine. And then when Biden comes up, it's, move along. There's nothing to see here. And that's the part of it that's completely disingenuous.
And it even goes farther than that, man. You've got lawsuits at the state and the federal level all over the country against Trump. I mean, there's hundreds of them everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. It's how they roll, But
I mean, think about how much money has really been spent to try to basically push this guy over the cliff.
Oh, right.
Some say $35 million here and there. I'm saying
it's way more
billions.
than that. It's way more
it's
than
in the billions.
And the money
Mueller
that
report
is
itself was $32 million.
The money that is set up to be lost by the establishment, by the globalists, by the, I don't want to say Rothschilds, but let me say the ruling class, the people that think they're the ruling class of America, that are getting bloody rich on their government decisions and legislation, trillions of dollars to be lost. These people are fighting for their money. That's what they're fighting Trump for.
I don't understand. Like CNN. I mean, that's one single company that spends all its money on bashing Trump and doing everything it can.
It's
and
not
it's
one
lost
company.
viewership.
That's where you got to understand the media. The media is owned. I think it's down to 5 companies now, and Stacey Rush is the one that brought this to my attention several years ago. CNN doesn't have to make money as long as Disney can make money. You know what I mean? The corporations that own these media companies are globalist corporations. Disney makes as much money out of China as they do from here. You follow me?
Yeah, but Ken pointed out that CNN's owned by Time Warner, which
okay,
is
all right.
Comcast,
Well, I mixed them up a little bit, but they're my charts.
Your point's still your point's still valid.
Right.
I mean,
General Electric,
right?
It's the companies are banking on our wives, and I shouldn't say it that way because that's sexist, and I wouldn't want to be. Let me just say that my wife right now is watching The Bachelor. Doesn't give a damn about what's going on the news channel. And as long as that keeps happening, then it doesn't matter whether the news franchises of these global corporations make money or not, as long as the other entertainment venues can make enough to carry them. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. I would suggest that maybe it might be time to break up some of these corporations. I don't know. I mean, what else do you do other than sue them? I love the fact that CNN got sued, and any of them that lie. I'd love to see them get bankrupted.
I agree with you. I mean, there should be some sort of antitrust suit that gets filed.
Yeah.
I mean, and say, it's the same as Bloomberg, who has his own media corporation, and he's going to run against Trump. So you think that anybody in Bloomberg is going to print any negative news about Bloomberg?
They said they weren't. They said they weren't even going to cover it. Let's try Ralph again. Let's go to Missouri and try Ralph again. Hello, Ralph. You up on top of the tower, brother?
No, what it is that every once in a blue moon, I got Cricket Wireless, and my phone's Wi-Fi manager decides to go harem scarum on me, and that's why the call all of a sudden cut off right
as long as you fix it, as long as
and all that. But anyway,
long as you don't think I was trying to shut you down, I wasn't.
No. I knew exactly. Matter of fact, I looked down at my phone, and that's when I noticed the Wi-Fi manager was telling me, "Do you want to do something with it, whatever, all this?" And I'm like, "Why is this thing doing this?" Because I had it all set up. I was listening to you guys for 10, 15 minutes.
You're sounding
great now.
All of a
sudden, the minute I start talking to you, it goes bonkers. But no, what you guys are just talking about with the mainstream media and all that, the RICO laws and all that stuff, trying to get regulation going, that didn't work out 20, 30 years back in the 60s, 70s with Ma Bell.
Right.
And there's a lot of these guys like Zuckerberg and all them that want regulation. The reason why is that it stifles competition.
Yeah, they write it exactly.
And then they write it and all that. And you stop and look at the top 5 or 6, and the amount of money that these guys gross is bigger than the GDP of some third world countries.
Yeah, you're right.
And all that. Point being is they'll throw a fleet of lawyers at you all day long. Not to mention, donating to campaigns and stuff like that. They know how the game is played. So it's just one of those things you just have to take the good with the bad and hope for the best, unfortunately.
Right. Now I got two of you on here, so let me swing back to Rico and get your thoughts about our guest tonight. What'd you think about the interview with Colonel Kurt Schlichter?
He seems kind of how do I say it?
Badass.
A little bit on a dainty side. I was expecting this big, huge voice.
No. He has a little bit of a high pitched voice, but I will tell you, he's the real deal. He's an infantry colonel. I mean, this guy.
You're a colonel in infantry. You done
dude. This dude rolled into L.A. He had to whack. He had to whack some of the guys in there. You know what I mean? Well, he had to engage some of the rioters. You know what I mean? It was when I interviewed him the first time, that was the context of the interview, was the L.A. riots. And wow, that was a hell of a story, man. He was only a lieutenant, man. I mean, you know what I mean? A platoon leader. That's like your first 2-3 years in the military. And he's in L.A., you know, in the middle of that. But, you know, he's in the meantime, he's become a national voice. He's a really solid guy. He is.
Well, I thought the interview was incredible because he's basically a straight shooter. He told you how it is, and he told you how it should be. And I thought that was about the most honest moment I've seen out of this show.
Well, thank you.
Since I've been listening, man.
I've been trying to get him back on for a long time. You know, sometimes, you know, as I congratulated him, you know, he moved up in the pecking order, and it was a little harder to get in touch with him. But, you know, he said, you know, anytime you want us on, so we're going to have him back. Let's put it that way. I'm glad to have reconnected with him. I respect the man a lot. And the reason is because as I was a Chief Warrant Officer 4, and really I should have been a Chief Warrant Officer 5. I was selected for 5 in 2013. But in the reserves, Chief Warrant Officer 5 positions are few and far between. There's not very many in the entire Army. I think 100, 200 maybe. And I live in Pittsburgh, and to go, I was offered positions in New Orleans and Los Angeles and other places, but I would have had to take a plane on Thursday to get that. No, I mean, we're not doing that. So I retired as a 4. But my point is that we served a lot of time together. You know, I mean, I wasn't with him. I didn't know him, but we served in the same time frame. So that was kind of important. So anyway, glad you enjoyed the interview. Any final comments, Rico?
No, other than I want to sue tobacco companies for putting tobacco in their products. That's all.
All right, brother. See ya. Back to you, Ralph. What's on your mind other than what we've been talking about? And I'd also like your opinion on the interview.
Well, I only caught the last 5 minutes of it because I was out walking the dogs and that, and get something
You
to eat.
can't
But
walk
anyway,
the dogs between 8 and 9. Come
well,
on. I mean, 8 and 10.
sorry. The dog says they gotta go. They gotta go. You know?
I know. I have one too.
I had 2 of them in the house here since one of my brother-in-laws decided to move back to Missouri, so we're kind of putting him up for a little while to get settled. But no, this whole thing with the impeachment is, we all know that it's a total dog and pony show from the jump. And the reason why this thing never got into the courts, because this is what they're pointing out to them in the Senate now on the Trump's defense side, is that you're looking at 53-47. And as long as Mitch has got 51 votes, they don't get witnesses. I don't give a rat's ass what John Bolton, what they leaked about him and all this other stuff, because there's executive privilege and so on and so forth. You'd be in the fighting this forever in a flipping day, especially if you try to subpoena the Bidens, considering everything that's come out about them with that new Schlichter book. And he's doing the tour telling everybody to go listen to him, you know, how they sit there and milk the government for billions of dollars, and didn't matter if it was China or whoever, you know, give somebody in my family a contract.
Right.
A lot of cash. But no, seriously, the way the numbers run, and I don't care what Susan Collins and all them, they got to get 4 to go with the Democrats to get the witnesses to prolong this thing, because what they're wanting to do is get the Senate to switch and try somehow to hang on to the House. And then that would make Trump basically a lame duck president when he gets reelected.
And you're so right. You're so right, because you know why? Well, and to bolster your point, something that you have been hearing lately, all you've been hearing is about these wishy-washy Republican senators. But nobody has talked about the 32 House Democrats that are in Republican Trump districts. You notice that went away? Yeah. That went away on purpose because they're going to get freaking crushed.
No kidding. That's why.
And we better crush them.
To hang on to the House.
They're not going to hold on the House.
I was watching the impeachment today, and one of the Trump's legal team, I can't remember which guy it was, came up, and he laid out this argument that I didn't think about. And it's really simple. They didn't follow the rules.
Right.
The impeachment, I mean, from the very beginning, in order to have an impeachment, you have to have a vote.
Impeachable offense, too.
Well, you have to have an impeachable offense, but you have to have a vote to see whether it's going to proceed. And that never happened. It was Nancy. It was Nancy doing a press conference that says we're going to do an impeachment. And everybody ran with it, and nobody said, hold on a second. Now, here's the most telling part. They also have to vote and give themselves the rights to subpoena and subpoena documents and witnesses, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the reason. I will guarantee you that's the reason why Schiff didn't push any of the subpoenas. Hit subpoena, and if they'd say, okay, I'll come to it, that was that. But if they said no, he wouldn't go to the court because he knew that the court would throw it out because it would be illegitimate. And that would delegitimize the entire and it would delegitimize the entire process. So they had to keep going with this insanity and saying, okay, we're just going to keep moving it forward. The only reason that they're having it now, and the only reason that they want witnesses and stuff now, is because they want to keep Bernie and Liz stuck in the chamber while Biden's running wild in Iowa. That's exactly what it is. They want Biden to win. That's why Biden's,
Biden's not going to win, man.
Oh, no, he's not going to even come close. But the fact that they're like,
he's not even going to win Iowa.
Man. That's all decided. There's nothing to see here. And Schiff actually said the words, there's nothing to see here. Just move along.
Right. Ralph, your final comments, brother.
He got that. Yeah, I totally agree with what was just said. Legally speaking, the court would have jumped their ass if they tried to issue subpoenas because everybody they wanted to subpoena was part of Trump's senior staff and all that, his inner circle. And it's like they said at the hearing today, this ain't legal. You guys didn't follow one legal precedent the whole time. You just ramrodded this thing through, and here we are.
And don't let me bring clips back of this show during Fast and Furious when President Barack.
They brought that up too.
Executive privilege. Boom, 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 boom. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody was going to talk, All right, Ralph, thanks for calling, brother. Always appreciate it.
Yeah,
and whatever's working, it's working. Whatever's working, it's working now for next time. So there you go. All right, so let's go into Christopher Wray's FBI has been caught in another lie and cover-up. FBI emails on Seth Rich have been uncovered. I want you to listen to Fox News analyst at the time, Ellen Ratner, speaking about her meeting with Julian Assange.
I know I hate these media people. They're the worst, awful. But don't get hung up on it because it doesn't have that much of an effect. And they did report the emails Wikipedia. They went after Hillary.
WikiLeaks.
Yeah, excuse me.
By the way, just FYI,
I got to take a WikiLeaks.
I spent 3 hours with Julian Assange on Saturday at the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
Listen to this. Go ahead.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
But one of the things he did say is that the leaks were not from the Russians. They were an internal source.
Remember this?
From the Hillary campaign or from somebody that knew Hillary, an enemy. He does not think they're from Russians. And he said Russia got credit for something WikiLeaks should have gotten credit for.
Well, how many people think that there was part of the party, the Democratic Party, that was trying to put the poison in? Because I always wondered if there were people who just secretly wanted to ruin it for her within their own party. Do you think that?
Well, as he said, she's been around a long time. She has a lot of enemies, and the enemies that he had,
most of them are dead,
or has, are mainly in the real estate business, but not. He hasn't been in public life, so he doesn't have that sort of enemies that all of us would get if we were in public life.
Wow. There's another chapter to this, Ward. I don't know if you recall a former, not DEA, Department of Homeland Security officer. His name is Bill Binney. And he came out about a year ago. He came out a little early. I think Sean Hannity should have sat on him for a while, but he didn't. He brought him out immediately, and he kind of flamed out. But I want you to listen to what he said, because none of this is over.
Yeah, I think the problem with the Mueller report and the Rosenstein indictment is it's all based on lies. I mean, the fact they're still lying about saying that the DNC was hacked by the Russians and the Russians gave it to WikiLeaks. Well, we had some of our people and our group, the VIPs, the Veteran Intelligence Professionals, look at the data that WikiLeaks posted on the DNC data. I mean, they actually posted the DNC data. So we went and looked at that and said, gee, this data has all of it from the DNC, from the late May material, the DNC Hillary emails, all had a FAT file property of it. Now that FAT file, foreign allocation table format, is what a software program does when it reads it to a storage device like a thumb drive or a CD-ROM, and it rounds off the last modified time to the nearest even number. So all of them had that property. So that said that entire set of data was read to a thumb drive or a CD-ROM, then physically transported. Now this is what Kim.com is saying, is what Julian Assange basically was inferring. Others have been saying the same things. Some of the illicit recordings, like, for example, if Cy Hirsch said that. Other people are saying there's an FBI report saying that that's the way it happened. And so all of that data, or at least positive information, we've seen nothing positive from the government to assert differently. In fact, the Mueller group didn't even want to talk to us in the VIPs who had the evidence, and could show them the evidence. They didn't even want to talk to us because they didn't want to hear it, contrary to their narrative. The same is true with the entire mainstream.
Did your group make an attempt to try and talk to them?
Well, we published all this data, yeah. I mean, we put it in Consortium News, and we were on broadcasting on different programs that would accept us. I mean, the mainstream media wouldn't, because they didn't want to hear it, because it simply denied the lies they've been telling the public for 2.5 years. So, but now I have the same statements in a sworn affidavit in the Roger Stone case, and the criminal case. And so I've got a statement in there saying this is the lie that they used to get the warrants to go after him. And that's true. So
now let me say right off the bat, these clips are old, but that's the beauty of the internet, Ward. This stuff forever. Is not going away, man. It is not going away. I still want justice for Fast and Furious. I really do, man. I am appalled when I see black communist nationalists like Eric Holder walking around free. That just pisses me off to no end, man. It really does. This guy should be buried under the freaking jail.
Yeah, and then he takes every chance he gets to jump in and explain how bad President Trump is, but yet he is part and parcel part of one of the worst administrations in the history of the United States.
And one of the most racist bastards in the country.
Yep.
You know, if you think about it. You know,
Oh, sure. I mean, but that was all part of the entire administration. I mean,
was.
You look at
it was
from the very beginning. I mean, when Obama first got in is when he started the crap with the police up at Harvard.
In Burlington. Well, yeah, I do. Absolutely. But let's, we talk about racism and we talk about gun control, and boy, that brings us right here.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
It's the Chicago Report with Ward Miller. Yay! And we're back with this week's Chicago Report. We'll do January year to date, seeing as this is almost February. So far this month, 22 people were shot and killed. 110 were shot and wounded. Total shot of 132 with total homicides of 30. So 30 people have been shot and killed in Chicago, and it's not even 30 days into the new year. So
man, that's hard.
They're setting a record.
Absolutely. Let's go to Eugene, Oregon, and welcome Marlene to the program. Hello, Marlene.
Hello.
Hello, Marlene.
Hello.
There she is. What's on your mind, Marlene? This is a radio show, and you're calling in.
Hello.
All right. Marlene, you can't hear us.
Oh, I can hear that. It's just I'm still here. I'm sorry. I've been having hearing issues this week, but that's another story. Anyway, I just got to thinking about that whole Fast and Furious. I was listening to the SCR TV yesterday, and I was going, dang it, I remember all that. The whole thing was a stupid executive privilege.
She was watching you, Ward. She was watching you.
They were getting away with murder.
She was commenting on your shirt, too. She was commenting on your shirt. Because you had the Hawaiian Steeler shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was commenting.
My son brought that back from Hawaii, actually.
And by the way, I like that shirt, too. That was cool.
You.
This is radio,
cool.
so talk.
Oh, talk. Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring up, too, is that I guess we're starting again to, our lovely people up in Salem are starting to get into their little discussions about all the climate change crap. They started this a while back. Yep, they're going at it again. It's like, come on, guys. Can't you see it doesn't work? But
here's the question you have to ask. It's real simple. How does paying more money to the government change the weather?
It doesn't change. It doesn't change the thing.
Exactly.
Especially when you're trying to influence what we put in the air. What we put in the air doesn't have a freaking thing to do with what that big-ass bad sun wants to do. Whatever that sun wants to do, that's going to be what happens.
Yep.
Politics aside, the furnace is in charge of the heat, baby. Just saying.
Right. Exactly.
Unbelievable.
And a little bit of happy news. There was we all knew about the Christian couple up in Gresham. They got into that big brouhaha with that lesbian couple that wanted them to bake a cake, and the couple said no because they were.
Are we still on that? Are we still on that?
Well, they're still on it, but I guess they have the family. Apparently, they've got one more little shot. I guess there was a case in Colorado that this family out here in Oregon is hoping that their situation will be reversed.
Yeah.
So they're actually still having to fight that case that they don't want to make a cake. How petty do you got to be to file suit because somebody won't bake you a freaking cake?
I know.
I know.
It's like you can't bake yourself.
It's like, what the hell?
Oh, I know. And you guys are. I have to be careful because I might, my real self might come out, and and Marlene, you're listening to Berg's Eye View and Steel City Resistance in the early years. And my real self could come out. I've tried to refine it.
Did you know he's a 6'5" black woman?
That's me. That's me. No, not only is that me. Not only is that me. That's me, bitch. You know what I mean?
He identifies as a unicorn.
I do.
Okay.
Check out these.
I thought he identified as a Pittsburgh Steelers football player.
No. No,
that's what he wants to be.
No.
I see.
No.
Yeah.
Sometimes this show deteriorates. Not as much.
Oh, I know.
But anyway, so Marlene, just to let everybody know, because we got a lot of patrons, and I want to make sure you guys all know that there is programming on the weekend. I don't think a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people know that. I try to put it out there, but if you're a patron of Cold War Radio, there's a 1 hour show on Saturday and a 1 hour show on Sunday. And on Saturday, it's Berg's Eye View. And I don't know if I'm going to put the whole series out there, because after I get back from Iraq, it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. So I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to put out there, but I mean, I say going off the rails. I mean, we had a lot of fun. Let me put it that way.
You guys did. I could tell.
It's not a political show. It's a comedy show. Ward was on.
The thing with the football, that was hilarious.
Yeah, Ward was on.
Think of my brother when he played high school football. Funny.
But even after once I came home from Iraq, then it got like real crazy. And I mean, Ward was on the show, and I was on Ward's show, on the Average Joe show, and it was fun. We weren't serious yet, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We were playing around.
Right.
It was a fun medium.
You guys were being funny.
Right, Ward? I mean, it was just like a fun medium.
It was because it was new, and we were just trying to figure stuff out, and it was like, we met at a pod camp. We each had our own show, and it was like, hey, you can come on my show, I'll come on your show, and that's how it started.
Yeah,
and then from that, it's like, well, why don't we have our own show? So
that's when Steel City Resistance was born, and that's the only reason that Cold War Radio is here, is because of one conversation over a cigarette, damn it, outside on like freaking a downtown street. I forget what street it was. It was out in front of one of the places we had the pod camp.
Yeah, it was down in front of. It was right beside the Art Institute.
The Art Institute of Pittsburgh. Yeah, and I met another guy there too, Dan Adams. He went there. I met a lot of people there.
Oh, really?
But the thing is that. But what we encountered early, Marlene, was Ward and I were the only two conservatives in the entire city of Pittsburgh.
Uh-oh.
Right, Ward? I mean, it was like, wow, man. I lost a lot of friends over that. I did. I mean, I don't care.
I believe you.
They weren't real friends anyway, but, I mean, they were.
No, they're not.
But
friends.
Now, to their credit, a lot of them still stick with me, but man, we turned a lot of people the wrong way, but that's okay. That's all right. Hey,
okay, of course.
I'm going to let you on. You stay on, Marlene.
Okay.
Let's go over to Sean.
Okay.
Let's go over to Sean in California. Hi, Sean.
Hey, what's up, Hutch and everybody?
What's going on? What did you think about the interview?
That was awesome. Okay. He brought up a lot of good points. As much as I want to say,
He's your neighbor. He's your neighbor.
He is. He has a lot of info that.
Let me tell you.
Start reading more too.
Let me tell you, when his icon came up on my switchboard, Compton.
Yeah.
That's L.A. County, ladies and gentlemen. That's like right there.
Oh my goodness.
So he's there. You know what I mean? And you can
I don't
catch him.
remember if that's where that.
Catch him
I
at
don't remember if that's where
townhall.com. Yeah, it is where the LA riot started. And go to
that's right.
Go to
That was.
townhall.com and you'll find Kurt Schlichter, an excellent columnist and patriot. But
Just
anyway,
ask him if he knew Dr. Dre.
he probably does. What's on your mind, though, Sean?
Which, by the way, that article he wrote was awesome.
Well, I got some good news coming up. I have my birthday with me and my brother, and this end of the month. So happy, awesome.
So you're going to be like 45 or what?
No, I'm going to be 28 this month. So
all right, almost out of school.
Almost 3 more classes, 3 more. And dude, I never thought I'd say this, but holy crap, Microsoft Office is hard.
Man, when I was 28, I was making I was making staff sergeant. Man, I was getting ready to go to war. But anyway, all right, so that's good. Yeah.
You have to type so freaking fast, and you have to learn all these functions on Microsoft Word. Now, nothing against that. I mean, I used to build custom-made computers for a little bit once in a while, but everybody stopped getting them from me because I cost a fortune to do it.
Right.
So, and they are pretty expensive, like $2,000 to $3,000. Now, I got to say, for that little Cummington student who's a millionaire now because of CNN.
Good for him.
God bless him. You know.
Yeah.
I heard it was 275 times he was a millionaire.
I don't know what I like. I like the way they said Covington millionaire high school student. That was just beautiful.
I like that too. That was slick.
Yeah, but it's like multi-million dollars.
I know, it was awesome.
I heard it was like 275, dude.
It's like, hey, Stetler, he has more money than you.
Oh
yeah, that's the shameful part. He has more money than me.
Right.
I'm like, oh God,
That's
why?
good.
But either way, I'm happy to work my.
But did you hear? Did you hear the colonel's advice, man? You got to get into local politics, man. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I told you that before too, man. Have you done anything that way, or?
Not yet.
That's the
I'll
answer,
actually
man.
see if
That's
I
the
can-
answer.
I'll see if I can go and try it out.
I mean, if you even if you feel that you can't do it in your current community, you're 27, 28, man. Get a couple shekels together and go rent a place in another district. You know, get the hell out of your home, man. Go do. Anyway, man, you tell me what's going on. I'm trying to throw advice at you, and I shouldn't do that. But
Well, it's all right. I don't mind advice. And
right.
what's
We're
coming
running
up
out.
after the birthday is me and the family are going to go to a local train show, and we're going to check it out, take some pictures and stuff. I'm
A
gonna
local what?
Take me Paul. A local train show.
Oh,
One
okay.
of those
Yeah,
long
yeah.
train shows.
Right, Sean's into trains. That's cool. Sure. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm going
man.
to try to buy me some vintage stuff.
All right, Sean, final comments, and then Marlene, final comments, and then that's it. Then I'm going to go to another caller. Go ahead, Sean.
All right. Well, I got no other comments. That's pretty much it. God bless
Thank-
you all.
Yep, thank you for calling.
Take it easy, man.
Marlene, your final comments.
Just a note that I really enjoyed listening to Colonel Schlichter, and I did read that article that he was talking about. That
A
was
good one,
awesome.
huh? Wasn't it a good one?
Very good.
Absolutely.
Very impressive.
Very
thanks,
good.
Thanks, Marlene. All
You're
right,
welcome.
let's go to Boca Raton, Florida, and welcome Valerie Z to the program. Hello, Valerie.
Hi, Hutch. Hi, Ward.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Really good. I just wanted to briefly share with you, yesterday, Double O, Bruce and I went to a beautiful presentation, memorial, through the American Legion at the Coast Guard Station in Fort Lauderdale. And it was sort of like a presentation of the 4 chaplains, the sacrifice at sea in World War II on the Dorchester.
Okay.
And there was such a crowd there of Marines and Navy, Army people, and they actually did like a show of giving their life vests up to save the other people, and they went down with the ship. It was bombed from a submarine under the water, a German submarine.
A
and
U-boat,
it was
yeah.
so beautiful. I mean, people were crying. It was just, we forget. And I did take notice of the fact there were no children, no teenagers. Our young people, not only are they losing this information, but the head of the American Legion stood up there and said, every time someone that's been in World War II dies, we lose a library.
You ready for me to piss you off?
Go ahead.
It's your fault. And not you personally,
I know, it's all of us.
But if you don't bring children to those events, shame on you.
Well, I don't have any
Because
children.
No. And again, Valerie, not you personally. Don't take it.
Maybe it's an older crowd. I don't know.
You understand what I'm saying, though. You understand what I'm saying.
And
we have to bring these kids to these events. This is where we have failed.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely ready to take all your arrows. And I wish this would have came up. I wish this would have came up an hour ago when I don't just have a couple minutes left. Because I'd love to get the calls. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to stop right now. Stop right now blaming everybody else for what we have screwed up.
Yep.
We have stood by for the last 30 years and allowed these goddamn kids to do whatever in the hell they want to do. And we have not corralled them. We've not taken them to church, and I'm guilty. I'm as guilty as anybody else.
Yeah.
It's our fault. If we let the government educate our kids, we let the government educate our kids, we're going to get government-educated kids.
That's right.
Oh man, this subject. I'm
Anyway,
sorry,
these guys,
Valerie. I'm
these
sorry.
Guys
I didn't mean
were 4
it.
chaplains who gave up their lives, and they were 18 years old.
Yeah.
17. These young kids. It was just really heart-wrenching. And this is our history, and this is our past, and this is what we somehow have to tell stories to the little kids in our lives.
Yes,
so that
we
they
do.
get something.
And they'll resist us. They will resist us as we're telling the story. But I got to tell you, Ward. I'll give it to you in a second. I got to tell you something because I have firsthand knowledge on this.
Yeah.
Everything that I said while my children were growing up, man, they remember verbatim. I'm sorry for the language, but I mean, this is a very serious subject.
It is.
They listen to you. You don't think they're listening, but they are writing down every single word you say. When you talk to your children in a deep voice and they know you're serious, they will make fun of you as you're doing it. And they'll make fun of you 2 weeks later, and they'll make fun of you 6 months later. But 2 years later, they will write that shit down and say, this was my dad.
That's right.
I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, never underestimate what you say to your children because they will remember it. And if you don't say anything to them, then you're the problem.
Maybe
I'm sorry.
Remember 20 years later.
I'm sorry I blew up like that, Valerie, but I just.
Okay. That's okay.
You know,
I like to bring out a little bit of drama in people.
I had my kid tell me that. My son told me that, and my daughter told me that too. You know, I mean, like they they think that they got over when your whiskey,
they know it all. Yeah.
when your bourbon bottle was sitting there, and they knocked back 3 inches and threw some water in there. They really think you didn't notice that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you tell them, you dumbass, you think I didn't know that? Anyway, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we will. We will.
I love when you call,
This was such
man.
a great theatrical production that these guys put on, and all the military that was there, and the Coast Guard, and they shot the guns off.
Isn't that
And
awesome?
We were right in Fort Lauderdale where the cruise ships take off and the Coast Guard was whirling around. It was a visual that was really amazing.
All right.
Just amazing.
I'm going to come down there and visit you sometime.
Well, you should.
I might have to bring...
We have plenty of extra room here.
Oh, no. I would stay at a hotel, but I'm just saying, I'd love to come down there and just talk to you guys, man.
Yeah, it was...
He's looking for any excuse to go to Florida.
I like Florida. I do. I don't like the Islamic centers. Around Orlando. It's nuts down there.
They're hidden everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah, they are. And they got that silver tint they throw across the windows. It's ugly, man. It really is.
I'm not happy about it. But thank you for taking my call, and I'll speak to you guys real soon.
Hey, Valerie, thank you for everything that you do for the show. Really. I mean that. You and Bruce. All
We're
right.
good.
All right.
All right.
God
night.
bless. Yep.
Take it easy.
All right. So, Ward, another outstanding program. I mean, we tend to have those things. It's pretty awesome. We're toward the end right now. It's time to go. So how can people get in touch with you? And any final comments that you have on this magnanimous episode?
I finally got my Twitter account back.
Oh, that's right. You were in jail. You're about a criminal.
I was in jail again. And it was because of you. Got me banned. But yeah, you can always hit me up on Twitter at Wardy22. We're kicking ass in the impeachment. God bless President Trump. God bless the United States. Have a good week. I'll talk to you next week.
Founding member of Cold War Radio, Ward Miller. Ladies and gentlemen, so goddamn glad to get him back on here now that we broke the explicit tag. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. CPAC, ladies and gentlemen, please go to SteelCityResistance.com and donate to our efforts to get to CPAC. Let me also say that Wardy is a hero on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22 for a really good Facebook experience. Like that page. Interact. The email to the show, scrtv@live.com. Podcast is available everywhere. If you're on Spreaker, search for news/news commentary. Or catch it at the405media.com every morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The Cold War Radio app on demand, iHeartRadio on demand, YouTube on demand, fully transcribed. That means it has captions, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours. Great interview, great times. God bless. Hey, we'll be back. Wait, let me say it. We'll be back with a great interview on Wednesday. I'm trying to find it out. Just check back Wednesday. We'll be back. God bless.